All right, so we're gonna do a little debate. I'm gonna act as the moderator here. I'll just be chilling in the background, chilling in the corner, and we're gonna do Joe Budden versus Eminem because my brother and my son here are having some disagreements on who's better, so to speak. Because Eminem, we all know in Kamikaze, Eminem threw shots at Joe Budden. I think in the song "Fall," like it was that song, and you know. Joe Budden has a podcast. So on his podcast earlier this week, he claimed that he's been better than Eminem in the past decade. Which, okay, cool. But the thing of it is, for me, Joe Budden is a retired rapper. So I find it a bit odd to state that you're a better rapper than someone when you're saying it and not expressing it through song. You know, that's just my perspective on things. And my boys here got into a bit of a disagreement in my Discord. And I said, okay, do you guys want to discuss this? Do you want to debate it voice to voice live? And they're like, yeah, they said they were down. So I'm going to let Neo go first and have him put his points out. And then Meta, you go, and then you guys can take it from there.
All right.
Well, all right. Well, first of all, he did say he had better content, not that he was better, which is the only reason why I was rocking with it. It's a wild statement. If you listen to Joe Budden, the dude is crazy. But I've listened to more Joe Budden in the last 10 years than I probably listened to Eminem. And like I was saying in the Discord, it's not like I hate Eminem. It's just there's a lot of albums that I haven't liked. But as we were talking about this and I went back, I realized that Marshall Mathers 2 is in that category. So I need to take that out. But it's like this album dropped. I listened to it the first time. I wasn't feeling it. I figured, let me listen to it again. I listened to it in the truck. Still not feeling it. I don't think it sucks. I just can't rock with it. And there's way too many Joe Budden songs. His last 3 albums I've liked. The last 4 mixtapes he dropped I liked. I listen to more of him than I do with M. So content-wise for that, I'm feeling it. So, and then as we were talking about it, Meta was saying that, his sales were killing him, and I agree with that. But I think the crutch of the argument that I'm saying is, are we talking about skills or are we talking about sales? Because I know Joe's not even going anywhere near M sales, but content-wise, I mean, he's a top-tier rapper. And you have a lot of guys out there. You look at a lot of the guys, Fab, even Jay, Mano, all these guys will tell you that Joe's pen game is crazy. So you have guys that are top tier guys co-signing this guy. So it's not like it's unwarranted. So
I mean, my response to that would be it's like this. I mean, I respect that Joe Budden is a good lyricist. I ain't gonna take that from him. But when you make an outrageous statements like Luca was saying earlier, you gotta have some kind of credentials or demonstration to back that up. So, okay, we have Joe Budden, a man who is, like Lucas said, retired from rapping. So he's been through I don't know how many labels now. I think that Shady was his 3rd label where he was released from. So I mean, you got to be able to translate that penmanship into success. So I mean, there's a lot of people that are good at a lot of things, basketball, but can they translate their skill into success? Now, I feel like his statement was more from a place of jealousy. And if you listen to his podcast, for example, his response to the whole Kamikaze album, which I like to say right now is #1 in like 70 countries. It's on target to sell like, I don't know, 400, 500,000 first week. His response to that was that he was bitter, basically, with Eminem, that he felt like he didn't get enough attention or enough quote unquote support from Eminem, like enough of his star power. So to me, it sounded like he didn't get what he wanted from Shady. He went there looking for a handout, kind of trying to, just rub shoulders with M, figuring some of that was going to translate into fire for him, and it didn't work out. And he kind of got bitter, broke up Slaughterhouse, and now he's still and retired from rapping, and now he want to throw salt on someone who actually tried to help him. I mean, Eminem was the last person signed him to a deal and tried to give him a creative avenue to make an album. So, I mean, I think he alluded to a lot of this. If you go back and listen to, I think Joe Budden's last good song, which was in Slaughterhouse, it's on his last album. He talks about it, a lot of this shit, which is basically like an open letter to Eminem, talking about how he felt kind of like ostracized and pushed to the side and shit, and he felt like he wasn't getting the love that he wanted from him. But that's a you problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, he a man, he got to be able to make his own way. And it sounds like a lot of his beef with Eminem is just some personal shit, and it don't got nothing to do with music, because he know that music, for him to say that he better than Eminem for the last decade, I mean, do you really want me to pull up Eminem's credentials? I mean, let's go. I'm just gonna go back over the last 10 years, because that was the debate. So in the last 10 years, Eminem's had 13 platinum albums where he was the lead artist. Now, you can go look this up on his discography. I'll name some of them. Drop the World with Lil Wayne. I Need a Doctor. Forever with Drake, Kanye. I mean, My Life. I mean, do I got to go on? I mean,
no. I mean, again, I agree with that. For sales wise,
these is all platinum selling. This is not. I ain't counting none of his gold. Now, let's go look at Joe Budden's discography. Let's see how many. The man don't even got one. I don't think he got one gold album. He never sold platinum ever in his life. Not one single, not one record, nothing he's ever been on has come close to that. So, like I'm saying, you talking, that's like, I think that what's his name's quote was the most perfect quote when he said, what you need to be worried about is that, like, Eminem gonna Thanos snap this nigga, and his career already over. So, like, what more could Eminem do to him besides what he did? Which, just, I mean, he could talk all this shit, but until, like, what's his name? The dude we was just talking about, the owner source, Benzino. He said Joe Budden was scared of Eminem. He's like, how can you say you better than him? This is quoted from him. He's like, if you ain't made a song against him. He's like, you was hugging his nuts when you was on Slaughterhouse, which is exactly what I was saying. He was just looking for a handout from this dude, and now all of a sudden you mad.
Right. Do you have a counterpoint, Neo?
Yeah, I do. Because again, you know, we talking sales or we talking content? You know what I'm saying? But
I'm talking about delivery. I'm talking about cultural pop influence, any of that.
Right. But have you listened to any of the music songs which he dropped? All 4 of those were independent. So that was all his money. And he's always said that every single project that he's dropped has made him money. You know what I'm saying? I get that his sales are low, but does that negate the content? Because, I mean, you probably haven't listened to any of his stuff past a few of the songs. His last album, Rage in the Machine, was dope. I'm not saying it's better than anything that M dropped, but I've listened to that album consistently. I haven't listened since Marshall Mathers 2. Have I listened to any of M's albums that consistent? The one before it, I think, was Love Lost, I think it was Love Lost. Listen to that a ton of times. Like the last 3 albums that he had, plus the mixtapes, I've listened to constantly. I can't say that for M anymore. I'm not saying that M.
I would say the last time I listened to Joe was when he was with Slaughterhouse, and kind of when I seen how he kind of did that shit, I was like, I kind of lost respect for him.
So you haven't listened to any of his newer stuff?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, maybe that's like where Neo's coming from then.
But what I'm saying is because I lost respect for the man, because he was like a kid when a kid in a little room and they can't have their way, and then they start throwing toys around the fucking room, like throwing a tantrum. That's pretty much what he did to Slaughterhouse. And I lose respect for just like when on his podcast, when he was like, now that I'm retired, I'm talking about how people conduct business as men. And that's the way I'm a more realist when it comes to hip hop and shit. It ain't just, that's why I ain't into a lot of these newer rappers, because it ain't about just their songs. It's about what message are they, like, what do they have to say? Do their songs even make sense? Shit like that. Like, what kind of image are they portraying? Not saying that Eminem necessarily portrays like a wholesome image or some shit, but trying to compare the two is ridiculous, to say the least. Like, as far as delivery, metaphors, analogies, I mean, I don't really understand the range of topics. I mean, Eminem go from, what's up, man? Eminem going from making some movie shit like to making some shit about pussy, money, calming violence, creating violence. Like, you don't, some conscious shit. You don't never know what that dude going really.
So better you only listen to conscious rap?
I listen to all kind of music.
Then don't let it bother you then.
I'm not saying it does bother me. I'm saying that his range. So like, you got a lot of artists that are very limited in their range.
You talking about Eminem?
No, I'm talking about Joe Budden. I think is more limited in his range as compared to Eminem.
Oh, and how is that?
In range of topics, like I'm saying, the things he talks about, stuff like that.
Eminem usually talks about nothing, bro. What are you talking about?
I mean, give me examples of that.
What do you mean? What do you mean examples? You've not listened to the new Kamikaze album?
Yeah, listen to it.
Eminem has always been off the wall with concepts and creatability, right?
Like he's like a person, like I'm saying, like Pot, where
but song. He's barely, like, if anything, social Eminem talks about is usually what's going, like, thinking about like Marshall Mathers LP, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just talked about boy bands and other groups he didn't like, right? He didn't touch on any injustices or anything like that, or any
but then when he did exactly that, like in Revival, that's when people was like, "Oh, we ain't feeling that."
Well, the biggest thing about Revival is that people had an issue if it didn't seem genuine. It was disingenuous, right? Like, it seemed like he was just ticking off a box and he was just talking about these topics to talk about them, but he didn't have any real passion behind it. He didn't.
Now,
He didn't have any passion behind anything until he got insulted personally, and that's when he put his full foot forward, so to speak.
Well, Luca just killed this whole podcast right now. She just said literally what I was gonna say. Like, when he made the trilogy, right? When he made that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had passion behind every topic he talked about through those whole albums. You can hear it, you can feel it, you can see it, right? Go listen to Revival. I feel like somebody paid him to do that album. Like, he didn't really want to do that. You can hear it in his tone, his concepts, his delivery. It's just complete trash.
I won't take that. Like I'm saying, I won't disagree with that. But that's just like anybody that's signed to a major label. When they got X number amount of records they got to come out with, and they obligated to make them on X schedule. It's just like when we discussing with games. Like, they might put out some shit that is some forced shit.
Okay. Well, Neo, how about you offer some more of your perspective, and we'll all listen and let you speak and such.
Well, thank you. Usually people don't want to hear me talk. Again, I mean, I think that you look at this album that M just dropped, and it was just, to me, it was just an entire album of him bitching and moaning about how everyone didn't like his last album. Now, I'll admit that Joe's definitely salty, but I mean, look at the standpoint that he's coming from. I mean, he was signed to M because they were doing the Slaughterhouse joint. Mainstream wise, Slaughterhouse did not get pushed a lot. You barely heard him talking about. Like, M put them on the cypher, but you didn't hear, they weren't commercially pushed like the way they needed to be. And that's the biggest problem, because you got a whole bunch of battle rappers coming together trying to make a cohesive album and try to make that album mainstream. That's one of the biggest hurdles that any battle rapper's made. So he felt that he wasn't getting pushed. And he was looking at how D12 was falling apart. Now, I mean, Proof died, so that was a big problem there too. But M wasn't really pushing D12. And he was like, yo, can we get a feature? Can we get you on a song? Like, every song, like the beats that they were dropping and stuff like that, he wasn't feeling. And if you listen to Joe's albums, like, his beats is a huge part, I think, of what makes his albums dope. So I think he was coming from a different standpoint. He wasn't feeling how it was, and I think he had a right to be bitter. So he kind of like he disassociated himself with it. I think that caused problems. Now, he should have not talked about the beef that he had on the podcast and how he came across. That was wrong. And I just saw the Crooked Eye joint that dropped a couple of days ago, and he was saying the same thing. If you have a problem with me, don't talk to me on your podcast or on a song. Break bread with me and talk to me that way. And that's how he should have handled it. And I think when he did that review of Revival, he was a little salty behind that too. But again, I can't disagree with the points that he had. So I think M just came from a place where I'm going to come back now. I'm going to talk about you. Now, M's coming from he's at the top. Joe can't lyrically say anything about him sales-wise because, again, his sales are horrible, but his content is dope. You know, and that's my biggest problem. Like, everyone is just immediately shooting down. Like, oh, Joe, fuck Joe Budden. He sucks. He's this, he's that. And when I ask people, yo, have you heard his last 3 albums? Have you heard his mixtape? No. So how do you know? If you're looking at any rap and equating sales to be dope, then every single one of these mumble rappers are killing everybody. I mean, these guys.
Right, okay, so then my counter to that would be.
Wait, Neil, are you done?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, go ahead.
My counter to that would be, all right, if he's supposed to be retired, why would people even be looking out for music from this dude?
From Joe? You shouldn't. I mean, he said, look, you look at Migos when that the dude, who else? The entire time he was at Complex, when people kept throwing shots at this guy. He was like, yo, I'm retired. I'm good. You know, I'm not making anything. I'm doing this media thing. He's getting his bag on that way. And he was trying to not be in the music stuff in the last year. Everyone's just continuing taking shots at him. I mean, he even had the battle with Hollow, which was horrible, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
I think 2 years ago, I think that was that joint was horrible.
That shit was trash. You talking about Total Slaughter? That was trash.
Yeah, that was horrible. That wasn't a good look for him. But you know, he's not looking to make new music, but people keep throwing shots at him. And why would you continually shoot shots at somebody you know is already showing you that he's not going to shoot back? That's a soft move. I mean, I get that this is your platform to speak about the things that bother you, but I just want to hear something else from them. You know, I want to hear something that I can listen to. This album wasn't it. There might have been a couple songs on there, but
what about it did you not like?
The content, I guess. I mean, look, his flow, his lyrics. I mean, he could rap his ass off. I guess the content, I'm just not feeling it. I can't even explain it. Like, I listened to the album, I was just like, I just turned it off the second time through. I just could not listen to it.
So I think what you're really saying is the motive behind the whole creation of the album is just not like, it's not coming from a place you would like it to come from.
Yeah.
You want a pure creative space from Eminem. I want him to come up with an album that sounds like that, but his own concepts, not just fueled off of somebody hating your trash album. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That energy's just wrong for me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I would say that that's the basis of rap. This ain't nothing new in rap. A rapper calling out his people that he disagree with, or the media, or I mean, people acting all like this is some shocking brand new shit that Eminem's doing, when I mean, he ain't nowhere near the close to first artist to make a record based on exactly the format it is. It's just that a lot of this shit he's saying is true, and a lot of he basically just snapping the motherfucking industry with that new record, because let's see how many of these people actually respond with a record. Like,
true, but
I'll wait for Joe Budden to come out with his record, with his diss song or whatever. We'll wait for that.
But Eminem's not doing anything new. I don't know if you listen to a lot of music, but a lot of people talk shit about the Lils lots on record. So I don't know why you think Eminem's the only one doing it.
I'm not saying he's the only one doing it, but what I'm saying is I have yet to hear a response besides MGK, and
I don't think people want to respond to Eminem because, look, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? If they go out they might be in the lyrical torture chamber, right? They don't want to do that. And plus, Eminem, you're not really going to get no brownie points off of dissing Eminem. I mean, it's not going to create, if you're more relevant, because Eminem does not have the mind share, you know, like as he once was. He still has some. But you're not going to gain that much clout off of Eminem. Nobody really cares. He's like a has-been almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a crazy statement too.
I mean, I don't feel like people who are great at what they do and things like that become like that. Like, not them type of people. That would be like that. I mean, if you're using an argument, for example, that okay, we can't just base it off of sales, and just like let's say your opinion is that Joe like Budden's a better lyricist or makes better music recently, which I would disagree with, but then that's all a matter of perspective. I mean, because people are out here voting with their dollars. I mean, they vote with their wallets when they come to Eminem, and like I'm saying, this is around the world. This is like I just said, y'all can say y'all don't like Kamikaze or where y'all came from, but the world likes it. Like, it's number one.
The world 40 doesn't mean
I'm just saying that you have to think. There's a whole world out here of people that might not think exactly like us, and like what I'm saying is that's who the people that he's reaching out to, and that's why that's the difference between someone like him and Joe Budden. And even Joe Budden alluded to it in his podcast when he said, y'all was trying to take the blueprint from Eminem and use it on us. And he was like, that shit was never going to work, which he was right. And he was like, we don't even want those fans. You understand what I'm saying? Because they ain't even the same in the same country, let alone, you know, like they ain't even comparable to each other as far as they reach, as far as.
Does anybody know what's the first week's sales of Kamikaze?
Like 400, it's 400, over 400,000.
That's pretty good.
So
that's actually fucking phenomenal.
That's crazy. Bro, it's about to break. It's breaking records, bro. And
now, was that shipped or was that sold?
Bro, that's before physical copies went on sale. That was just digital and streaming.
Oh yeah, he about to hit $1 million.
Bro, it ain't even for sale physically yet. That's what I'm saying. Like ain't nobody. You talking about people, the closest people in the game, like Nicki Minaj and them, doing everything they can. They barely selling like 200,000, and they open in weeks. That's facts, bro. So like
I told you in the year 2001, Neo, do you know who sold 6 million records that year?
2001.
Yeah, only 2 people did it out the whole industry, all the whole rap industry.
Jesus Christ, 17. I mean, back then, it might have been Hove and. Shit, I don't even know.
It was only Nelly and Eminem.
Okay.
Oh, he said Hove and Pimp Juice.
Blueprint was hard, but I'm just saying. I'm saying Eminem, you gotta he can regain. I think what it really comes down to, he knows he's playing the game. If he plays the game how he's playing with Kamikaze here on out, I think he'll be all right.
I mean, sales wise, yeah, but I mean,
I think, to be honest, that anybody who's ignoring the fact that Kamikaze was like a wake-up call to the industry is ignoring what's on. He called out basically everybody and said, look, any of y'all can come get it if you want it. Now, when the last somebody did that? And he got everything to lose.
Kendrick did it.
Kendrick did it.
But what I'm saying is M is somebody who got everything to lose, his leg, everything that he's built up until now to lose. And he's saying, come take this shit from me. Y'all out here talking, come take this shit.
But I don't see why you're harping on that when literally a lot of people have done that already.
But are they in a position like
yes,
the head that wears the crown is you know what I'm saying? It's heavy, bro. Like people ain't in the
Kendrick. All of them are not.
No, I would not say that they on the level of Eminem. Not yet.
Level of what? What level are you talking about?
Meaning like overall longevity, how long they've been in the game. They overall. I mean, what metric do you want to use?
Well, I'm asking you what you want to use.
I'm saying it. I don't know. Let's find out what. It's hard for me to find out like what you mean unless I know what you mean. You know what I'm saying? Because in my opinion, we're talking about longevity. What records sold? What?
I mean, longevity. We know Eminem been in the game, but that nigga has a lot of fucking copper albums. Not like sale wise, literally, but I'm saying a lot of whack shit in his catalog, bro.
I understand that, but you talking about percentages now. Like,
yeah, I'm just throwing shit out there because you haven't told me what we basing it off of. Because it just seems like you keep on harping. He's calling people out in the industry. I mean, that gets done all the time. And for Eminem to do it, look, if I was in this position, I would do the same thing. Why not? But Eminem's been doing this since his inception.
He ain't never really done it with inside of hip hop.
No. So I mean, once in a while when he was getting that
or inside of rap in general. So like I'm saying, ain't nobody ever came out on the album and basically said, if you ain't like one of these 3 people, then fuck you.
Kendrick did it.
So
Kendrick did it. I mean, Jesus, nobody, only like the underground dudes responded. Really?
Yeah, nobody in the industry responded to Kendrick.
that's
Nobody wanted to smoke.
because like I'm saying, don't nobody want that shit because it's their career. They got everything to lose. Like nowadays, you get dissed on Twitter, Instagram, and you can't live that shit down. You can't live down like the wrong.
Jay-Z got bodied. He didn't lose.
I mean, I think that's the big for me. I think that's the biggest point. You look at Ho's trajectory. You look at 444 versus
444 is fire.
You know what I'm saying? Look at 444 compared to this album. You know what I'm saying? Like you got two dudes that are titans in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like Eminem didn't need to make this album. There was no point. Like his and Joe even said it on the podcast. Like your point, your spot is cemented. There's no reason for you to come out and literally shoot at everybody. Just make some great content and keep it moving.
Well, the way I feel about it is, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Eminem was feeling hurt because people didn't like his trash fucking album, and
they made another trash album.
He Kamikaze. I think more people like it than dislike it. Even and Revival was not universally, but a lot of people like maybe there's like 3 good songs on Revival, right? All right, but I think Eminem's feelings were hurt. And I think he went off and he attacked everyone who criticized him, which, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'd rather he do it through music than do what Nicki Minaj is currently doing, you know? Because everyone's panning her album. Eminem was like, all right, let me mind my business. Let me get in the studio. Let me go off. He acknowledged it on the album with the Paul skit. It's like, yeah, dude, are you just going to continue making albums going after people who don't like your shit? You know?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't seem to understand that Revival was not what we wanted from Eminem. You know, he has set himself up, you know, he has put forth a certain persona, especially considering the fact that the majority of that album was featuring pop singers when he spent the majority of his career dissing pop singers. Like that doesn't make any fucking sense, man.
I feel like we feel betrayed almost.
Like it's almost like that, right? It's and like it's like he I feel like what I got from Revival is that he had given up. You know, he had lost something. He was like, there's no point in me being here. There's no point in me doing this shit. It doesn't really matter. Like I'm washed up anyways. Like I've gone as far as I can go. He literally said on that album, I'm not hungry anymore. You know? But then everyone receives it and everyone's like, okay, all right, cool. You're not hungry anymore. Why the fuck do you come out with this album if you're not hungry? It shows in your music that you are not hungry. So why'd you come out with this album? This album's fucking trash. And then he got his feelings hurt. And it's like, dude, I don't even understand. How are your feelings hurt when you're saying on this album, I don't got anything left? And then everyone's like, yeah, it's trash. There's nothing left. And then it's like, oh, what? How dare people say I don't have anything left? Like, bro, like, what are you doing? It's like mixed signals right now. He on fucking Kamikaze, he says like people slept on Revival. People were too mentally retarded to understand what he was saying on Revival. It's like, no, dude, we understood what you were saying. You know, we understood what you were saying. It's just your album was trash. Right. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as I am a huge Eminem fan. You know,
I am too. I want to put that out there. It's not that I'm not.
And then it's like the latter half of Kamikaze, it started falling off a little bit. Like Stepping Stones is good lyrically, but sonically that shit's trash. All right, I don't want to listen to it because I don't like the way it sounds. And then Venom is a fucking movies track. And then I like Nice Guy and Good Guy, right? I like those 2 songs because of the girl on them, right? Eminem's not really saying anything on those tracks either. Normal, the first half of that song is trash. I liked when he switched up the beat. Like I was like, okay, cool. But it's still kind of like those 4 songs, why are they on the album? Why are those songs on the album that's basically a revenge album? They don't make any sense on that album. So it's kind of like a disconnect there. So I don't like, you know, like that's just how I feel about it. I still really like Kamikaze. I like more of the songs than I dislike them, right? Like I like more songs on the albums than the ones I don't like. But it's kind of like it's not fluid. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the album, if it's supposed to be a revenge album, let it be a revenge album. Don't add like little tidbits of other shit here. Like those last 4 songs could have fucking been on Revival.
That's a fact. They were probably leftover tracks from Revival. So.
I mean, I think a lot of this shit has to do with like. I mean, I don't even think Revival was trash. I do think it was not.
Wait, what did you just say?
I don't think Revival was trash. I think that it was.
Name me your top 5 Eminem albums. I'm gonna give you some slack here. I need to know where you're coming from, where your standpoint.
I mean, I think his best music was his music. Like, I think it's still one of his best songs is Infinite, and that was before.
Name the album, bro, not the song. Well, Infinite doesn't count. So.
I mean, shit. His best albums to me are his early albums. So, like the original, the Slim Shady LP, and like those. Like Marshall Mathers and the Eminem Show.
So the first 3, like I always say, right?
Yep.
That's what I always say. So old heads like us, we bank our faith still on those fucking old albums, right? He hasn't gave us anything of that caliber since.
I mean, I would say that's a matter of perspective because I mean it matters what you're looking for. I would say. He's less conventional because he doesn't have to be. Back then, he was trying to appeal to a wider audience, so the music that he was making had to be like we keep bringing up. Joe touched on a lot of this shit in his podcast when he was saying that the difference between like Eminem and your normal artist wasn't just that he had talent, but somebody sat him down and they had a plan for him. So I think that initial plan that they had for Eminem and the brand and how they released him and shit, that shit fell off. And then basically now people are moving on to the next hot thing. So now he's having to exist outside of this. I don't know, like Dre. He ain't no longer with Dre. He ain't no longer with Jimmy Iovine. He ain't no longer with none of the people that basically brought him into the game. And that shit has an impact on like his everything. So like, you're taking a person that's what I'm saying who has everything to lose. It ain't like, and we were just comparing the last 10 years. It ain't like in the last 10 years he ain't had. I mean, he wrote songs for other people in the last 10 years that are platinum, like shit, Grew Up a Screw Up. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. So I mean, there's a lot of songs that people don't even know that he wrote for other people.
But it's like we're going back to the sales. You know, sales doesn't automatically dictate. Like
you can't quality. Use the Xbox logic here, man.
All right, so here, we'll go back to things like T.I. T.I. has had like 2 songs written by Eminem within the last 10 years. I mean, like these are other Ludacris, T.I., Rihanna, Big Sean. I mean, 50 Cent. These are all people that are. These songs did not do well. They were songs that was not popular.
Yeah, but you know, Joe wrote songs for people too. Like I don't have, you know, I know that he wrote a bunch. I don't know who, but he stated before that he wrote songs that have gone #1. And again,
but I'm saying I want to know what these songs are that he wrote.
I will go find them and
find me these songs because we all know what these songs that I'm talking about. We all know the songs that I'm talking about. And if we can't even off the top of our head name one of these songs that it is that he wrote, then he ain't
so you just named a whole bunch of songs Eminem wrote and you said they didn't get any shine, right?
No, I'm saying that these songs, T.I. songs, like That's All She Wrote, Eminem wrote that. That song didn't do that. Is that
an album cut or a single?
That's on T.I.'s album.
Is it an album cut or was it a single? I don't remember that single.
I don't know. I have to. I'm pretty sure it was on his album.
You have to think it probably wasn't a single.
I don't know. I'm about to tell you. I know he wrote that shit though.
But I mean, going back to my point, like, you know, I want. M is at a point now where he doesn't need to make these albums for money. So he either made this decision because someone pushed him to make this decision, or he made this on his own. Now, Marshall Mathers LP is probably the last best album I think that he made. That was a more well-rounded album.
Facts.
Yeah, I agree.
Why can't you make another album like that? Like I know that this dude.
I'm trying to interrupt again, but me and Alday had talked about this. Like he hasn't been the same since Proof died, bro. And so he stopped doing drugs.
Yeah, I think that shit, we can't say that shit would not have an effect on someone. You get what I'm saying? And shit, that's You can hear it in his music. And then that's also like, even MGK touched on it. He's like, what does Eminem really have to rap about? What does he have to be hungry for? Where does his angst come from? Like, what does he have to be his muse to fucking give him that fire, like, in his stomach to even be mad about anything?
But you know what? You don't have to be. And that I think that was the reason why I used Hov as a trajectory. 444 is not an album about him being angry. Like, you know, first of all, I get it. Everyone goes through certain things. I've been through hell and back. I get it. You know, he had a lot of problems with drugs. He had a lot of problems with his wife and his kids. I get all that. Get your head right and then move forward from there. Because you don't have to necessarily be hungry. I mean, you look at what Hov has crafted and his trajectory. I mean, damn, you know what I'm saying? And Hov hasn't been hungry since, like, hell, his first album.
See, I think that the differences between Hov and Eminem are because the Eminem is more like a creative person and Hov is a bit like businessman first. Hov been on his business, and that's what separates him from basically everybody else in the game, is that he a businessman. His business, he's smart business. He owned all his shit from day one. So, like, he was one of the first people to be doing that shit. So, like I'm saying, so you talking about people who approach the whole game, rap and shit, in a completely different way. Like, Eminem uses that shit more as a creative outlet, and Hov look at that shit as another business pawn on his chessboard of shit that he moving, business moves that he making that are bigger than just even rap. Because Hov, yeah, he a rapper, but the image he's selling you now is way bigger than that.
But don't act like Hov doesn't have a phenomenal catalog, bro.
Oh, I ain't saying that. We anybody would be talking crazy if they said Hov. I mean, you got your top five.
But it does go into what you're saying about business, because I mean, Hov's ear for music is pretty outstanding. Like, he knows how to pick the best beats.
Yeah, he knows how to pick people. He knows how to build labels. Like,
great features.
Yeah. He a mastermind when it comes to that shit, as much as being a rapper on a record. Like, and Eminem is a good rapper on a record, but is not a good businessman. Look at all his first deal with Dre and them. I mean, he was getting fucked. I mean,
he also doesn't have like a good ear for music, in the sense that I don't know who's picking his beats, but they need to be reevaluated when it comes to certain things. Like, sometimes his songs don't connect, like the beat and then what he's saying. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The energy of the music versus the energy of what he's saying. I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, M doesn't have the best ear for music at all. You listen to his beats he makes; they all sound the fucking same with that echo ass snare. They all dum dum dum, like all the fucking same. Like, he just. I mean, but that's not his forte. I don't expect him to, you know, excel in that area anyway. So,
I think his biggest issue is that he has been sheltered for a majority of his career. Like, he did too big too soon. So, like, once you hit that kind of trajectory and shit, and now you in like this castle and like you pushed away from, like, when's the last time he probably been somewhere or been like somewhere didn't have security and been in like a natural environment with natural people having like natural social interactions? And that's why all these motherfuckers come out on Twitter and shit and do awkward ass shit. Look at Kodak Black shit on Twitter and Instagram and shit. Like, these motherfuckers don't know. They know how to get up on the stage and present a character, but then when they go to be a real person, they don't know how to do that shit. So I think that's where a lot of these problems come from, is they don't got no substance to their character. So now how do I go out and be a real person? Where does his motivation come from? And I think, like I'm saying, Joe Budden was dropping a lot of jewels that people wasn't really hearing, because he was angry. Like, when he was saying that he felt like Eminem, that M basically keep bringing motherfuckers in and using them as a muse, as his inspiration, and he's the one that is taking that shit, whatever, and making it, putting his shit on it, and then putting it in the Eminem package and releasing it. That's kind of what I was taking out of what he was saying. So, and I think that applies to a lot of these megastars. Like, they got a whole team of people that surround them that are invested in them making money. And then you hear a lot of them say these quotes like, I got to do one record for me and then one record for the label. So like when shit like Revival and other bullshit drop, a lot of that shit be they obligated to do shit. They might not be feeling at that year or a couple years, their creative juices might not be flowing. They might feel like doing some other shit like fishing or sleeping or playing video games or some shit. But instead the studio telling them, no, you got to drop this other album and they got to be out on X day. And we don't give a fuck. You better come up with something or pay us back our advance or whatever, or you violate the contract and then blah, blah, all the other legal ramifications that come with that shit. So they just like, all right, I'll come. Well, that's why he came out with that bullshit. You can hit when a motherfucker literally telling you in your music, like, I don't have no reason to rap no more. And people are like, well, why'd you come out with the album? Because he obligated to. The label will make him come out with that album. So that's the reason why the album got released, is because the label, like, you got to come out with that out. We don't give a fuck if it's shit. We know just because we stamp your name on it, it's going to sell at least X amount of dollars. So you owe us that much. Make the motherfucking album. And then I think that this Kamikaze was a lot of people were saying a throwback more to his old shit, where he's like, look, whoever want it can come get it. Y'all talking reckless, saying my shit trash. Well, then prove it. Let's see what's up then. Now, what's people's response to that? Because we could talk all this bullshit, but now he done threw down the gauntlet like Thanos, and he's like, now what's up? Now, y'all talk. Everybody could talk all this shit, but until I hear a response on some wax to Eminem cutting that motherfucker, then y'all just talking. Like I'm saying, Joe Budden could do all that shit talking on that podcast, but until he go on wax and say some shit, we shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's all that tough nigga shit when motherfuckers is like, oh, I would have did this and I would have did. Well, you can show me better than you can tell me.
So what did Joe Budden say? Because I'm pretty sure the whole shit started when Joe Budden saying Revival was whack, which is a complete fact.
No, it all started basically back on Joe Budden's last album when he came out with Slaughterhouse. So like, if you go back and listen to that song, like I'm saying, he ain't directly coming at Eminem, but he basically, it's like a soft diss record if you listen to it. So
yeah, he took shots at Slaughterhouse themselves too.
So like I'm saying, if you go, this shit ain't some brand new shit. This is some shit that was kind of bubbling under the surface, and then once it came basically out, that's what I'm saying. That he split up like Slaughterhouse on purpose, basically, because like I'm saying, he was looking for a handout from that. The way I take it is that he was looking out for a handout from M. He didn't get it. He got salty, broke up Slaughterhouse, and was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go retire and do some other shit," which is what he did. Now, until you come out with a relevant record again, we talking about relevancy and all that shit. Well, if he could slaughter Eminem, literally where his podcast is, there's a studio right in the back. He could go make us a record right now. Go make a song and show me the money. Show me the money, like, you know what I'm saying? Jerry Maguire say, you know what I'm saying? Show me the money.
I mean, again, I think because what he said was his content for the last 10 years was better. And again, going from M's content to his content, I've listened to his content more than M. So for me, the content-wise, I'm a rock with Joe.
I would say Joe is more hood, more street.
Man, Joe got a nice pen. I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
And he a good lyricist, but I wouldn't say he a better lyricist than Eminem, not even in the last 10 years. And
again, I'm not saying that he's better. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's better than M. I am saying that for the last 10 years, like what he said, his content the last 10 years was better than M's. I'm listening to his stuff way more than I'm listening to Eminem. So I'm going to say, okay, obviously I rock with that statement. And again, like when he was talking about the Slaughterhouse stuff, he's like, yo, you got 4 dudes trying to go into a booth. You got the studio sending back a song. You cut the 4 songs, and now they're trying to take off a verse. Whose verse is coming on? You got 4 guys in there that are all nasty. Now y'all got to figure out, y'all trying to make a 12 to 16 track album. You all trying to put equal
too much star power.
Yeah, but they knew that. They knew that shit. This is shit that all of them knew going in. So some of them need to be like, look, take one for the team, every couple songs. I mean, how do any of these groups that come out, these super groups that come out with shit?
That's the thing. But Joe's saying when you keep recording tracks and his verse keeps coming off, how you not gonna feel salty about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when you try to go to M and say, "Yo, can we get a track?" and it's like, "Oh, well, we don't know." I mean, you look at Detroit versus Everybody. That song was crazy. Why do you not have more songs like that? You know what I'm saying? You should have had more. He had. I mean, I get Proof was the impact, so I can't. When you look at the demise of D12, I can't. You can't acknowledge that Proof wasn't part of that. But even them, you look at Bizarre. Bizarre is all effed up right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
because that shit really fucked that group up. That's what I'm saying. And I think that's a lot of the reason why M didn't get invested with Slaughterhouse, because he felt like the same type of shit was going to happen with them. Like, being through traumatic shit myself, that you approach situations like in a more guarded way. So like now he gonna be more standoffish with the people and deal with them in a more arm's reach type way, because how does he want to get attached to one of these people and then something happened to them like what happened to Proof? You know what I'm saying? And these are people that, and yeah, that's a dynamic. Who's to say that he right or wrong for them feelings? But you can't take somebody feelings from them. And you also can't feel like another man owe you some shit and be mad at them. Like, to me, that don't sound right to me. When you blaming your career on another man and saying, hey, well, because you didn't give me X handout, now that's why I wasn't successful. Well, who gave,
is it a handout if you sign to someone's label and you say to your boss, yo, I need X, Y, Z tools to work and you only giving me X? Is it fair to say that you expected something from him, he's not giving it to you? And especially when you just say that he's feeling some type of way, is it fair for Joe to then say, well, I'm just going to say, oh, your man died, so I got you. I'm going to screw this money business and let you just shit all over the group like this, and I'm going to take what you're giving me for these crumbs.
Well,
I don't think that's fair to say.
Joe touched on it, though, when he said that he felt like all the money was supposed to be going to him was going in a different direction than they label. And like I'm saying, I think that shit that's outside of M hands. Like, a lot of the shit that he is trying to put on just M is shit that's made from like a label-wide place. So trying to just put it, trying to use him as a scapegoat for all the animosity that you got with the label and how you felt like you didn't get what you needed from the label. Well, the label ain't just him, ain't just one person.
That's true.
So like, Joe Budden need to go back and ask himself, why was the other people in Slaughterhouse's music always the ones getting chosen over your shit? Now, that's what I would be asking myself as a man is, okay, we got 4 people here. We all supposed to be brothers, or even 5 if you counting M. Now, why is my shit always the one that's getting cut? Well, it's either because these people, they got something against me. It's some kind of collusion, a conspiracy against me that they just don't want to see me shine. It can only be 2 things, or 2, that I just wasn't the best to be put on there. Now, which one of them is he saying that it is?
Maybe that's why he retired. Maybe he felt that like, yo, if my joint ain't rocking, then maybe I need to step off and do something else.
So, like I'm saying, that's why what I'm saying is that comment and him saying, well, he more relevant and will prove it. Like, battle the man. Eminem a battle rapper. We all know that. So anybody who's saying that they would come at him and that would end well for them is talking reckless to me.
I mean, look, at this point, anybody can go at M and take these shots. I mean, MGK did it. I mean, and that was the whole friggin' Drake versus not Drake. What was it? Pusha T and Pusha T and Drake joint. He came out with a whole bunch of personal stuff, and dude was like, "Oh shit." That was the reason why most of that stuff banged. I mean, it wasn't a bad song, but it was mad personal. So that was the impact. So I mean, you're gonna look at MGK and not gonna say, "Oh man, he took a loss." He didn't body him, but he definitely made him feel something with that joint. So I mean, anyone can take these shots right now. What's gonna happen when M comes back? And again, you're gonna be in a situation like friggin' Drake. Do you answer this or not? Drake just took that L and moved forward. You don't hear nothing about it now. You know what I'm saying? M just needs to just find his lane and stay in that shit and stop deviating from it.
I mean, I think that's what he's doing, though. Him talking shit, being basically, like I'm saying, this album is basically a new version of Eminem. All the same shit. It's all the same approach, for good or bad. Like I'm saying, this is a newish, updated version of like an old Eminem album is what Kamikaze is, and that's part of the reason why it's selling like it is. So it's because he tapped back in to whatever that old chemistry that he had with his album. That's what this new album basically personifies. It sounds like an updated version, like I'm saying, of an old Eminem album. Mm. That's my personal, perspective, but I'm talking objectively from. Anyways, All Day. That song, All She Wrote, was on T.I.'s 2011 No Mercy album.
Was it a single or no?
It's on the album.
Oh, so album cut. Right.
It's an album cut. It's on the 7th studio album. No. But anyways,
so you guys, done?
Yeah, I don't know, unless there's something else to cover.
I'm just like, I'm curious if you guys have come to like, you both are just gonna feel however you feel, but have you come a little bit closer to understanding each other's perspectives?
Yeah, of course. Anytime you have a reasonable discussion with someone, you can understand them.
Yeah, it's easier to talk it out than to keep typing.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do this, because I'm sick of you fuck ninjas clogging up my goddamn Discord with it. I mean, I really just wanted you guys to discuss this together.
Well, if you were around more often, maybe.
Oh no, not like this. Listen, I've been really busy with work, so
Shouldn't
work 10 o'clock every night this week. I stayed at Discord. Y'all trying to get me fired the other night.
All right, listen, but yeah, we can just wrap it up here. And in my opinion, I didn't even hear about Joe Budden until like last year, so I don't know about this whole "I'm better than M" thing. But I just really feel like it's kind of odd to say something like that when you're a retired rapper, But whatever. That's my perspective.
I got a Spotify deal.
Yeah.
Well, he need to leverage that Spotify deal. Do something.
But yeah. All right. So okay, bye guys. You guys, really good conversation in the chat. This was fun. But yeah, let's get up the fuck out of here. And
I'm out.
Destiny to play.
Oh yeah, Destiny. Oh right, I do. Okay.
Yeah,
bye.
I'm still waiting
bye,
for my
guys.
dog.